Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I'm your host Daniel Short. Today is Monday, September 1st, 2014, and you know what that means once it hits September 1st. It's football season. It is finally football season. No more, it's next Sunday, it's this and that. It is 3 days away from NFL Kickoff with the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks. Also, the NCAA football, I don't know why I said NCAA, it's college football. Started last Thursday, and I forgot to do my predictions for week one, but we will do that coming up pretty soon. Also, we will recap week one of college football, and we got really good news. The Short Sports Show is now on iTunes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're making it big time now. Yes, we are. So if you're listening on iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker.com, thank you so much. But now you can actually download past episodes, this episode, once this is done, right onto iTunes. Keep it, listen to it in your car, and have your surround sound. You know, I don't know, whatever you want to do. I already downloaded it. I don't even listen to my own self. I should. But anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about some college football. And before we go ahead and recap week one, which was an exciting week of football, college football is always exciting. We got some injury news, and that's for South Carolina. Head coach Steve Spurrier said running back Mike Davis was, quote, sort of doubtful to play against East Carolina this week because of bruised ribs. Davis re-aggravated the injury in the 52-28 loss to number 21 Texas A&M last Thursday. Davis had missed some time during fall camp with rib problems, and last season he ran for 1,183 yards, but managed just 15 yards on 6 carries against the Aggies last Thursday. Again, Spurrier said that backup running backs Brandon Wilds would most likely get the start if Davis cannot go. So that could be a huge loss. He was very ineffective against the Aggies, and it was a different type of Aggies team. And like I said, going on to talk about some of the football games, that was probably, to a lot of people, it was a surprising game. For me, now, I even said it was going to be a toss-up. You know, we didn't know what was going on for Texas A&M and for South Carolina. Both have lost NFL quarterbacks in Johnny Manziel and Connor Shaw. Both happen to also play on the same team with the Cleveland Browns. Texas A&M defense was dreadful last season. How would they perform going into this season? South Carolina loses number 1 draft pick in the NFL, Jadeveon Clowney. How would their defense step up without him? There's just too many questions for these both high-ranked teams. Who are A&M at 21, but obviously they're going to go higher. South Carolina, they're going to drop now. Texas A&M obviously won the game 52-28 with a quarterback that it's not Johnny Football, it's Kenny Football. Kenny Hill was 44 of 60, 511 yards, 3 touchdowns. In his first game as an Aggie, has already thrown more yards than Johnny Manziel has done in 2 years. That's crazy. It's crazy. Now, again, South Carolina's defense looks like they were A&M's defense of last season. Aggies had 680 yards of total offense compared to South Carolina's 433, which is still a lot. It's still a lot for South Carolina's offense. Dylan Thompson was, despite Kenny Hill, having the star all over him, Dylan Thompson did pretty well. 20 of 40, 366 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Really good, and passed it to, I believe his name is Nick Jones, wide receiver. 5 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Thompson was really, really good. Had 1 pick, but 50%, 366 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just wasn't enough. Kenny Hill just dominated. His first drive as an Aggie in college football on the road. First game of the season. Big game. Drives him all the way down for a touchdown. Should have got that passing touchdown, but handed off to one of his running backs to get it. Trey Carson had 7 carries, 30 yards, 3 touchdowns. Malcolm Kennedy, one of my favorite wide receivers, and should be a pretty good draft pick coming up in 2015. 14 receptions, 137 yards, no touchdowns, but very effective wide receiver. Now, to me, it didn't come as a huge shock like it did to a lot of people that Texas A&M won. Maybe the score, yeah, because like I said, we all knew South Carolina had questions, major questions. Dylan Thompson, he did pretty good filling the shoes now. You got the quarterback position solved, but you got your running back, Mike Davis. Is he going to be healthy going forward? Your defense is terrible. Your secondary can't catch up to anybody. I mean, they got beat multiple times. Also, for offensively, you still got questions. Your wide receivers can't hold on to the ball. I mean, you got to think about it. A&M, again, still first game of the season. We can't attack everything, but A&M's defense, some of their DBs can hit. That was pretty shocking. They did really good. But anyways, A&M gets the victory. They look for them to move up pretty high very quickly in the next rankings, which I believe will be released tomorrow morning. And South Carolina, look for them to drop. But a huge game. Kenny Hill, can he be the guy? Will we see him win the Heisman? We'll see. Moving on to the next game, Boise State against number 18 Ole Miss. I don't know. I wasn't too much into that game. Boise State's not the old Boise State that we know with Kellen Moore and Doug Martin at running back and Austin Pettis, Titus Young before he lost it. It's just not the same. The game was played in Atlanta, Georgia at the Georgia Dome. Ole Miss gets the victory 35-13, scores 28 points in the fourth quarter to pull away, basically. They were down, or actually they were up 6-7 going into the fourth, and then whoop, Bo Wallace, 25-36, 387 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pretty good. Did have a few picks though. Some concern there, but Ole Miss gets a victory. I don't think a lot of people cared for the Arizona State-Weber State game, so let's just move on. Michigan State did have a scare, though. Yes, they got a huge victory, 45-7 against the Jacksonville State team. But Connor Cook, I mean, and he was also lights out. 12-13, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, while passing to, I believe, Ryan Lippett, 4 receptions, 167 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But did take a shot to the knee, which should have been a flag. I don't think they even called a flag on it by a defender. It looked like, if you guys didn't see it, it looked more like the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Patriots game back in, 2008, 2009, when Brady went out for the year to that knee, and then that created a penalty as well. It looked more like that, but Cook, oh man, I just forgot his name. Cook took it. It was okay. Actually, just, the next play, I believe, throws a touchdown and ends up, just running. He's okay, not limping or anything. So, got away with that injury scare. But let's move on to the bigger games, which happened all on Saturday. Florida State, number 1 Florida State, going against an Oklahoma State team. Now, most people predicted this would be a 45-20 win or something like that for Florida State, with Jameis Winston coming in and all, everybody's looking at him. Oklahoma State has questions as they have to replace 20 players that have moved on and graduated and went to the NFL. But for a team that replaced a lot of players and has a lot of young talent guys that just haven't really played any downs in college football, did very well. Only losing by 6 points to the number 1 team in Florida State. 37-31 was the final score. The first quarter was 10-0, so it looked like, okay, Florida State, it's Florida State. This is about to pull, they're about to do their little run and shutting out Oklahoma State. But then Oklahoma State says, hey, going into halftime, it's 10-17. What's going on here? Jameis Winston, even though he was, threw for 370 yards and a touchdown, it didn't look like the Jameis Winston that we know. 25 for 40, really good, yeah. Or okay-ish, I should say, below 50%. But just didn't look like the connection was there. He got sacked a few times. He was looking at, the receiver for too long and just didn't look like he had that poise like he did his freshman year going into every game. Now, again, it is just week 1. We've just got through the first week, so we can't judge too much. I mean, he could end up throwing for 5,000-plus yards, 50 touchdowns, and then we're like, okay, this game meant nothing. But this was an Oklahoma State team that's pretty weak on defense, at least on paper-wise. They showed they could play. And it shows that Florida State really needs to step it up coming into the season once the schedule starts getting in depth. You got Notre Dame. That should surprise a lot of people. They play Notre Dame. Jameis Winston can't be a 25-40 quarterback. And that running game's got to get a lot better. 23 carries, 66 yards for Williams. That's nothing. And there needs to be a 1 in front of that 6 to make that 23 carries look a little bit better. But for Oklahoma State, did an amazing job for the team that they have. And it shows that, hey, it doesn't matter who's on the team, or who's on the field, we can play with anybody. We can definitely play with number 1, Florida State. That shows a lot for a team that, a lot of people marked off, especially in their own conference in the Big 12. J.W. Walsh was 15 for 27, 203 yards and a touchdown. Also led the team in rushing with 11 carries, 51 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So a lot of ups. Even though Oklahoma State did take the loss, it's one of those, hey, lost by 6 points to the number 1 team that everybody thought we would lose by 20 to even almost 30 points. We're going to be all right. So Oklahoma State is definitely a pretty scary team right now. Another team that got a scare was number 2 Alabama. The top 2 teams facing big scares against teams that weren't really supposed to be even competing in this game. Especially West Virginia. West Virginia, won only 4-6 games last year. I don't remember. They go and play Alabama, who last season ended terribly. Absolutely terrible. We all know that main game against Auburn, where it all went downhill from there. Took them out of the national championship. Then they go and play Oklahoma, that looked like it was supposed to be a very competitive game, or even a Bama blowout, because Oklahoma kind of struggled. Bama gets blown out against a redshirt freshman. So how would they compete going into the game against West Virginia? People thought, okay, this is where Bama gets it. They play an okay-ish team, but really, not so well team, and should do pretty good and look for a better rebound from last season. Not so fast. Final score, Bama 33, West Virginia 23. And, they were both taking shots. 3-3 first quarter. Then West Virginia goes and scores 14 with their wide receiver, who's incredible. I don't know his first name. I'm going to look him up right now. Kevin White. He's a senior, 6'3", 210. Just domination. He had 507 receiving yards last season alone. And in the game, he had 9 receptions, 143. And a touchdown. Pretty good. Clint Trickett, just absolutely amazing. 29, 45, 365 yards and a touchdown. Blake Sims, surprised a lot of people being named the starter over Jacob Coker, a Florida State transfer. He was 24 for 33, 250 yards, no touchdowns. TJ Yeldon did an amazing job with 23 carries, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Amari Cooper, also a really good game, 12 receptions, 130 yards, no touchdowns though. But anyways, West Virginia scores 14 in the second quarter. Bama scores 17 just to take a 3-point lead going into halftime. But then it all went to defense there. Bama scoring 10 and West Virginia only kicking field goals to end the game. But I don't know. Florida State and Bama, again, it's just the first week of the season. Scares me. Scares me just a little bit. I'm sure they're scared as well. Ooh, we'll have to see going into the season, but both teams obviously have to step it up. Stats are only going to do just a little bit. But Oregon, I didn't even know they played. No idea. I thought they were the only team that was the top 5 team that wasn't playing. They did play. They played South Dakota. Poor little South Dakota. And Marcus Mariota, 14 for 20, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. I believe he also threw an interception, but it's okay. He had 4 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, 3 passing. And, South Dakota, we don't really need to go through their stats. Oregon gets the victory 62-13. Number 4, Oklahoma plays Louisiana Tech. I thought Tech would do all right because, they don't have Sonny Dykes anymore, do they? Never mind. Anyways, final score was 48-16. Trevor Knight, 19 for 34, 253 yards, and a touchdown. Kevin Ford, 9 carries, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Sterling Shepard, one of my favorite receivers, has 4 receptions, 49 yards, and a touchdown. Ohio State. Now, this was crazy game. Now, when I tell you the score, you're going to think, okay, Ohio State, they managed. They did a really good job, controlling Navy. The final score was 34-17. Not really. Navy had the lead 7-6 going into halftime. Reynolds doing amazing. Williams Jenkins, 7 carries, 118 yards for Navy. They were doing a good job both offensively and defensively, especially defensively, against Ohio State. JT Barrett was 12 for 15, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a terrible, just absolutely terrible interception in the red zone. Just runs away from the pocket, and just throws a weak ball while getting hit. And the Navy cornerback made a tremendous play, intercepting the ball. No one was even open there. And just picks it off, and it looks like, okay, Navy, they're going to do something here. They might actually do it. Because you got to think, Navy runs that triple option offense. Now, you had the entire offseason for the Ohio State defense to be ready. That showed they obviously could not compete with Navy if this game was the next week, if they had played week 2. Because Navy offense, 390 yards of offense. You telling me you could not stop Navy when he had an entire offseason to be ready for it? I mean, and I'm not trying to be biased here. My TCU team, we would play Air Force, who ran that triple option, the same thing, and we would play them, in the cold in Colorado Springs. It'd be week 8 or something like that. We had just got done with a top team in BYU or Utah, whether it was home or away, and then we had to go on the road to play Air Force. Still won, and we didn't give up that many yards. So I'm just saying, Ohio State, there was defensive concerns last season, and again, there's defensive concerns again this season. You had entire entire offseason to compete or be ready for this offense. Couldn't do it. So they pulled away in the end. They got their act together, you could say, getting that halftime speech or whatever. There's definitely concern for Ohio State. No doubt about it. Number 6, Auburn took on Arkansas, and I believed it was going to be a close game. Honestly, I probably would have picked Arkansas to win just because of what was supposed to be Marshall not playing. He's supposed to be suspended. I thought he was suspended the entire game. But no. Because Arkansas was real close and even tied the game at halftime. They had Marshall come in. I don't think that was right. I think Auburn knew they couldn't get the job done with Jeremy Johnson, something, or John Johnson. I don't know what his name. Yeah, Jeremy Johnson at quarterback. He did all right. He was 12 for 16, 243, 2 touchdowns. He even had a 62-yard pass. Still didn't think it was going to be enough. I thought Arkansas could actually surprise a lot of teams, even though they lost every game last season for the SEC. I thought they could compete, and they showed a little bit of competitiveness. Final score was 45-21. They got blanked in the second half. I don't know if Marshall didn't come in. Just saying, it could have been a little bit different. UCLA and Virginia. If you did not watch this game, if you haven't watched the ESPN app, please go rewatch it. This was a very crazy game. Now, you would see the score 28-20. You knew it was a close game. Virginia, I thought they would put up a little bit more, a lot more than what they did, even though they did a really good job losing 8 points. to UCLA. I just thought that offense would click in pretty good. Excuse me, faster. UCLA, 7 points of offense. And I was hearing the announcer. He said, what if I told you that UCLA and Brent Huntley would only score 7 points total offense against Virginia? What do you think the outcome would have been? One, you would have never believed that guy. And two, you would have said Virginia would have won. But UCLA scores 21 points in the second quarter, all on defense. If that doesn't happen, we're looking at a 20-7 game, Virginia beating number 7 UCLA. Britton Huntley, and I know I missaid, didn't even score the touchdown. It wasn't even him who scored the offensive touchdown. Some other person. So it shows you, one, Virginia's, they're a pretty solid squad out there. And they got this quarterback, Matt Johns, came in. It did incredible. Came in late in the game. And 13 for 22, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. His first pass was a 32-yard gain. And then it just went all uphill from there for him. Did really good, and look for him to be the starter going into the season now. UCLA has questions too. They do. Defense was okay. Offense, that's the surprising part. Most UCLA people said, all right, offense is going to be all right. Defensively, we're going to probably struggle. That's where the questions are. It's the opposite here. Brent Huntley, if he wants to be a Heisman, if he wants to be UCLA to be a national championship contender, a playoff contender, they've got to change this. Number 11, Stanford blanks UC Davis 45-0. Hogan was 12 of 16, 204 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Barry Sanders Jr., 7 carries, 43 yards, no touchdowns. Clemson, number 16, Clemson at 12. Georgia went at it, and it was a close game at halftime, and then it was all Georgia. And Todd Gurley makes his Heisman case. 45 for 21. Todd Gurley, 15 carries, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was a different game here because we're so used to seeing Taj Boyd being there for Clemson and Aaron Murray for Georgia. Neither one there. I mean, offensively for Clemson, it's all question marks there. They only had 291 yards of total offense. And passing-wise, they only had 59 yards of offense. 59 passing yards. Davidson had 13 carries, 57 rushing yards. That's nothing. You're never going to win a game like that. You're going to win a game with like Todd Gurley being there with 198 yards on 15 carries alone. 3 touchdowns for Gurley. Wisconsin and LSU went at it. Very competitive game all around. Melvin Gordon, 16 carries, 140 yards, and a touchdown. Very good game. Jennings, quarterback for LSU, was 9 for 21, 239 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Really, really good game. Passing-wise for Wisconsin, they're going to need a better quarterback. 8 for 24, 50 yards for Mick Evoe or whatever his name is. That's not going to do it. And obviously it didn't get the job done because LSU scores 15 in the fourth quarter while Wisconsin is shut out in the fourth. Final score 28-24. LSU gets the W. USC did a pretty good job against Fresno State, 52-13. We need to get through this. We still got more to talk about. A lot more to talk about. We spent half our show on this. Notre Dame, 48-17, and Everett Golston's return, 14 for 22, 295 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also had 41 yards and 3 touchdowns rushing on 12 carries. Kansas State dominates Stephen F. Austin, 55-16. Nebraska does a good job against Florida Atlantic, 55-7. Tommy Armstrong from Steel, San Antonio Steel, 15 for 29, 271 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The running back, Amir Abdullah, I believe that is his name, 21 carries, 232 yards, a touchdown. He is a top running back. Nebraska had 784 yards of total offense. It's incredible. No turnovers either. Nebraska, they could jump up too. I mean, they show they're really good. I know it's Florida Atlantic, but I'm just saying, You get 784 yards of any offense against any team. You're pretty good. North Carolina gets the W over Liberty. A lot closer than it really should have been. 56-29, and I know what you're thinking. That's not that close. Against Liberty, that's pretty close. Missouri takes away South Dakota State, 38-18. And Washington, surprisingly, edges Hawaii by 1 point, 17-16. After Washington, UW gets blanked in the second half. Hawaii just can't get the job done. And finally, last night, number 10 Baylor blanks SMU, shuts out SMU in their brand new stadium, 45-0. Bryce Petty, 13 for 23, 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. And for a lot of Baylor fans, they're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Why isn't Petty playing in the second quarter even though it's 31-0? They didn't need him, obviously. And sorry, I got lost in what I was just about to say. I was about to jump to something else. Petty, he got hurt. Lower back strain. So there's some worry, but honestly, 31-0, and SMU had 67 total yards of offense. 67. So they didn't need Bryce Petty. So it was just one of those, okay, it's like a preseason game. Play the first half, you're done. Okay, that's it. So that's it for them. But I am going to talk about 2 more teams in college football before we move on. And that's my 2 teams right here. My hometown team, Texas State, played Arkansas Pine Bluff. Now, Pine Bluff is a SWAC school, which is in the FCS. Easy win. Texas State gets the win 65-0. Tyler Jones, 21 of 25, 278 yards and 4 touchdowns. Robert Lowe, 150 yards on 14 carries and a touchdown. Really good for Texas State. I'm glad to see them and get a little bit, a little bit of exposure out here. Now, and another thing is because it's just week 1, I have to get this out there for them. They are, I guess, tied first, or maybe just overall. They are number 1 in the nation in college football in 65 points per game, and they're tied number 1 with points against with 0 points. They have the 7th overall rushing team in the nation with 378 yards, and 24th in passing with 319. I know it's just week 1. I'm just trying to be happy for them. You know what I'm saying? They play Navy. That's the next game, September 13th. I will be at that game, 7 o'clock on ESPN News. Yeah, they're showing the game on ESPN News. First time it's going to be a game there. It's awesome. But anyways, Texas State, awesome job. And, of course, my TCU Horned Frogs, awesome. It was an awesome game to watch. I know we played Samford, not Stanford. It was Samford of the Southern Conference in the FCS. A lot better. The final score is 48-14 for my TCU Horned Frogs again. Our offense, a lot better. Looked really good. And again, I know Samford, but let me just be happy, okay? We'll really have to see where our offense is against Minnesota in 2 weeks from now at home. Trevon Boykin, 29 for 41, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Surprisingly, in my mind, I thought it was no-brainer. Matt Jokel takes the starting job. Doesn't happen. Boykin does it. But Jokel did get some playing time, very limited. Comes in, I believe, in the 4th quarter. 4 of 8, 35 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty good. Listenby, wide receiver. Kobe Listenby. Wow. Did a really good job. 76 yards, and should have had really more yards and another touchdown. Had 2 touchdowns. He was just beating everybody. But it's awesome to see our TCU offense do a lot better job than last year. It was terrible last year. So anyways, that's it for college football. I know we spend way too much time on that. Next time we'll get it right, and we'll be a lot faster with it. But moving on, I'm trying to get to my right stuff so we know what to talk about next. Oh yeah, we will have the week 2 predictions. I used to do my show Mondays and Fridays. Well, that was because I had a part-time job, and yeah, now working a full-time job. I can't take off Friday mornings like I used to. So now it will be Saturday mornings where we won't, it won't be an entire show. It will just be college football week 2 predictions and any breaking news that happens. We might discuss some things, but it'll be very, very short. Hint, the Short Sports Show. Ta-da. Sorry, bad joke. Anyways, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Central Time, iTunes, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio. We will have week 2 college football predictions. The reason we're waiting and not doing it now is because we'll have a new top 25. And there's no reason to talk about, some team that just dropped out or something, or a new team that moves in and we don't even talk about them. So that's why we'll wait. But moving on, let's get on to the NFL. We still have a lot to talk about on the NFL side. And linebacker James Harrison, a 5-time Pro Bowler and former NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2008, is retiring from football. Harrison, who spent 10 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers and played his final season with the Cincinnati Bengals last year, announced his decision Saturday on his Facebook page, saying, quote, "I have made the difficult decision to retire as of today. My love for my family and the need to be there for them outweighs my desire to play the game. I have missed too many experiences with them because I devoted so much time to my career." He capitalized so. That's why I emphasized that. Anyways, my love for the game isn't strong enough to make up for missing one more birthday or the first day of school. But he didn't have a bad career for an undrafted player from Kent State. So James Harrison, again, who obviously mainly known for playing with the Steelers, as he did with just all of his 11 years, or all 10 years of his 11 years with the Steelers. 2008 wins the Player of the Year. I believe that's the same year the Steelers won the Super Bowl. And, James, we're all going to remember that 92 dark visor, the long face mask, dominant player, very intimidating player in NFL, and could make a case for the Hall of Fame. Not a first ballot or anything, but maybe a few years after that, might be able to get in, squeeze in or something, because we've seen some worse players get into Hall of Fame like Chris Carter. Chris Carter does not. That's another discussion, but I don't like Chris Carter. Anyways, the New York Jets cut wide receiver Stephen Hill. The former second-round draft pick was waived Saturday. Hill's agent, Alan Herman, had some words for New York Jets head coach Rex Ryan, saying, quote, "I am disappointed in Rex because I don't think he publicly supported Stephen like he should have. You never heard him call out his defensive guys. I don't see him criticizing Kyle Wilson or Quentin Coples. So, yeah, I am disappointed. I think the Jets have to accept part of the blame. I think he deserved one more year. I just think the Jets should have stuck with him another year. The quarterback situation with Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow was obviously a disaster and wasn't right for a young player. Last year, Geno Smith was thrown into a difficult situation, and the offense was limited. Stephen's bread and butter was the deep ball, which he rarely saw. Stephen needs an established quarterback situation to help him realize his potential. Now, Stephen Hill only made 45 receptions for 594 yards and 4 touchdowns in his 2 seasons in the NFL. But the New York Jets have been criticized for picking him over Alshon Jeffrey, who has now emerged as a star with the Chicago Bears. So with all that, now I like Stephen Hill. I know he had his injuries and his problem with the Jets, but you got to think about the Jets while he was there. And we already said it, Mark Sanchez, Tim Tebow, Geno Smith, who just getting into the league, didn't know what he was doing. So I think Stephen Hill does have a lot of potential. 6'4", big body wide receiver. He's got the speed. Like he said, it was his deep ball was the go-to, his bread and butter. Yeah, the Jets made a bad decision. They should have picked Alshon Jeffrey. But again, every team has that. Every team's like, oh, man, we should have picked this player, it happens to every team. And look at all the other teams that picked, all 32 teams that picked over Alshon Jeffrey. And Jeffrey's done all right. But Stephen Hill, I think he can make up for it. He'll go through waivers and be picked up by somebody else. So I think Stephen Hill has a chance, to get picked up with another team. And I don't see why not. Again, the size, the potential speed, interests a lot of teams. We could look, see the Patriots even pick him up. Patriots, now have more questions at wide receiver. Sadly, my Josh Boyce of TCU isn't doing that good. I think he made the team. I haven't heard that he didn't, so that's good. But, Patriots could look at an extra wide receiver, a big body receiver. The Cowboys, they need help everywhere. What if even the Bears go and pick him up to get an extra big guy out there? Who knows? But I think Stephen Hill will be all right. The Jets did make some other moves, releasing 3 veterans. Running backs Darrell Richardson, Alex Green, linebacker A.J. Eds, and cornerback Johnny Patrick. And the saddest news of all of this that the Jets made was that they waived rookie quarterback Tajh Boyd, a 6th-round draft pick from Clemson. Yes, Tajh Boyd of Clemson. They waived him. Now he shouldn't make the practice squad, but still, you'd rather keep Chris Sims over Tajh Boyd? Oh, man, now you know how there's so many questions for the New York Jets. That's ridiculous. Tajh Boyd, if not, I hope you sign with, the Cowboys. Or it's like we always hope that somebody that we really like signs with the Cowboys because we know the Cowboys need so much help. But hopefully the Cowboys pick it up, though. I think Tajh Boyd, that would be awesome if he could go with the Cowboys. I'd buy his jersey. And then he ends up winning a starting job because Romo goes down. Okay, sorry. I'm moving on. The New Orleans Saints released future Hall of Fame cornerback Champ Bailey on Saturday before he even played a snap for them. They also released veteran wide receiver Robert Meacham. Champ Bailey's agent Jack Reel told NFL.com that Bailey wants to continue playing, saying, quote, definitely, and he is fully healthy now. He told he had a plantar problem, which is resolved, but he just missed too much time for the coach's evaluation to be complete, and unfortunately, in the last few games, they didn't throw at him, so he couldn't show his stuff, and he is fine. So, Champ Bailey, Saints, done. I'd still sign him. Again, it's just, and I always say it, it's the veteran presence. The knowledge that he can give to young guys. Now, I hope the Chargers can even go after him. What he could teach to our first-round draft pick and Jason Verrett from TCU. That'd be awesome. I think Jason Verrett would learn a lot. Any DB would learn a lot from Champ Bailey. To me, it was shocking that the Saints did that. They knew that it was going to take some time for Bailey to get in rhythm and stuff like that, as he only played 5 games last year. Give him a little bit more time. And if they didn't even throw at him, if anything, that's a good thing. They didn't even throw at him. That means you just locked up a wide receiver. Isn't that what you want in a cornerback? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just thinking. But I would love to see Champ Bailey go to the Seahawks, though, too. I think that'd be awesome. Play as a slot corner or a backup slot corner and possibly win a Super Bowl with them. That would be awesome. If you can't beat him, join him. That's defensive backs right there. If he could play with the Seattle Seahawks, I think that'd be an awesome, awesome pick. And I wouldn't be surprised the New York Jets can maybe look after him, as the Jets have claimed former Cleveland Browns cornerback Leon McFadden, who was released by the Cleveland Browns. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2013 and played every game last season and started the final 2 preseason games due to injuries in the Browns secondary. Top corner D. Milner suffered a high ankle sprain on August 10th and is highly questionable for the season opener against the Oakland Raiders. And the other projected starter, Dimitri Patterson, was suspended and released Saturday after an excused absence last weekend. They also lost rookie Dexter McDougal, which I think is the funniest last name, to a season-ending knee injury in early August. That means if week 1 was right now, which is coming up pretty soon, if it was today, the Jets starting cornerbacks would be Darren Walls, a career backup, a converted safety, Antonio Allen, assuming Allen is cleared after suffering a concussion in the 3rd preseason game, and Kyle Wilson, who's just is always used in the slot. That would be your cornerbacks. Not really good for the Jets right now. Leon McFadden had a pretty bad game in the last preseason game, though, against the Bears. He was getting beat bad. Moving on, Houston Texans bring back a familiar face as they sign safety Daniel Manning and releasing Chris Clemens. Now, it was very confusing. Chris Clemens was signed after Manning was released because Houston offered Manning a pay cut after the 2013 season. And when he declined it, they cut him. They released him. Manning spent the offseason with the Cincinnati Bengals, but was released. Things apparently just didn't work out with the Bengals with him. Just didn't happen. Chris Clemens, I think I read he had an injury or he wasn't playing that well, and they cut him anyways before they even looked at Manning. And now Manning's back. That's all it was. Very weird. Another player that's back is 49ers holdout guard Alex Boone is expected to report to San Francisco in the next 24 hours with a new contract. Alex Boone will land a 2-year deal to replace his old contract with an increase in salary and incentives if he reaches the Pro Bowl, according to multiple sources. The 49ers also will not be able to use a franchise tag on Boone once the new contract has expired. Boone was originally scheduled to make up to $4 million over the next 2 seasons under his previous deal. But, I guess he said $4 million isn't enough for me. I need more money. $2 million a year, that just ain't going to do it. I don't know why it wouldn't, but it doesn't. He racked up $1.2 million in fines in his holdout alone. But sources declined to comment how those fines would be handled or whether they would be worked into his new deal. So it could have already been, all right, you would have made this much money, even though you never would have had this contract in the first place if you didn't hold out. But I'm just saying, you just now paid it because this would have been your original. It's just all weird. It's just weird these days. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, got a brand new contract. He's going to report 49ers have one less problem on their hand. As defensive lineman, well, this is just another brand new problem. Defensive lineman Ray McDonald had been arrested on domestic violence charges. He said, quote, "I can't say too much right now, but the truth will come out. Everybody knows what kind of person I am. I'm a good-hearted person." Niners general manager said in a statement Sunday that the team takes, quote, "such matters seriously," but is not commenting on the allegations involving McDonald without more information. Former 49ers safety Dante Whitner, who is now with the Cleveland Browns, told Sacramento Bee last year that San Francisco head coach Jim Harbaugh told his team that violence against women would not be tolerated. Quote, he said that we can do anything in the world and we can come and talk to him and he'll forgive us, but except put our hands on women. If you put your hand on a woman, then you're done in his book. So we'll just have to see. But apparently it was, like I said, domestic violence charges. This isn't the first time McDonald's been in trouble. He had a DUI arrest in 2010. And now this. 49ers just can't stay out of trouble. Apparently in San Francisco, it's just the hardest thing to not have a run-in with police, apparently. The Houston Texans have acquired quarterback Ryan Mallett from the New England Patriots. Patriots receive a conditional 6th or 7th round draft pick in 2016. It kept switching. Every source you look at, it's different. It's 6th or it's 7th. Either way, they get a 6th or 7th round draft pick in 2016. Doesn't matter, apparently. Mallett could have a bright future with the Texans, though. I mean, who will enter the season with veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick as a starting quarterback right now. Just right now. But to make room for Mallett on their roster, the Texans waived quarterback Case Keenum. Keenum started 8 games last season and was battling with rookie Tom Savage for the backup role behind Fitzpatrick. Now, I think it was dumb that they cut Keenum. I like Case Keenum, and he's a hometown guy. I think he did okay. But really? You had to cut him? I think that was bad. And drafting Tom Savage, third round guy now, third round. He's a third depth wise. He's a third quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick and Mallett will now go at it. Why didn't it just make this happen earlier in the preseason? Makes no sense. They should have just done this earlier in the preseason, before the preseason even started, because there was talks about it, and then you would have Mallett just know the offense a little bit more. Have some playing time with them. Kabam! It's all good. But it doesn't happen. And Keenum might make the practice squad. Who knows? We'll see. A guy that who knows? He might also make the practice squad for the Rams is Michael Sam. He went unclaimed on waivers Sunday and is now free to sign with any NFL team's practice squad. The defensive end was waived Saturday by the St. Louis Rams as they cut their roster down to the maximum of 53 players for the 2014 season. Now, for me, I know a lot of people are thinking about the distractions because there's continue. It's just because of media, though, of people asking Michael Sam's showering habits. That's just freaking weird. You don't ask anybody that. That's just, why do you even want to know? You take a shower, you put soap, you clean, you rinse, you're done. There has to be a habit. Like, I don't know. That person is just an idiot. And, there continues to be distractions. There always will be off the field distractions if you let it happen. If you just ignore it because that's what's going to come with them, just like with Johnny Football. Johnny Football, could do anything and everything to, stay out of trouble, not party or whatever. There's still going to be something. There's always going to be something. And with Michael Sam, because of saying, he's openly gay and he told everybody, it's always going to have to be a story. No matter what. He can stay out. He can lock himself inside all he wants. And there's always going to be a story. Not that he should, but I'm just saying there's always going to be something. So that for any team that says, the distraction is why we're not signing him, you let it become a distraction because it's going to happen anyways. There's always going to be something. But I thought Michael Sam did very well in preseason. I thought he showed a case to make the team. I thought he did very, very well. I'm surprised that the Rams really let him go. I'm willing to say I would want him on the Chargers. Our defense is absolutely terrible. So to have a little bit of pass rush, it's so stupid that we have to, because of what he said and his lifestyle, that he's not going to make a team. Now, I don't think that's the case for the Rams. They have a ton of linebackers and a ton of defensive linemen that possibly, they are better than Michael Sam. But that doesn't mean Michael Sam won't be a really solid player in the NFL. I think I would want him on the Chargers. I know the Cowboys might look at him because they need help on defense like crazy. So Michael Sam will have an NFL job this season, and wouldn't surprise me he makes, is not just on the practice squad. He's actually on the team practicing with them. But I would want Michael Sam on my team because the Chargers, we need help defensively. So it did come as a shock as the 49ers did, waive him. And now who knows if they even put him on this practice squad. Moving on, the Kansas City Chiefs have signed Alex Smith to a 4-year contract extension that will keep him as their quarterback for a long time now. The ESPN and various media reports have the extension worth up to $68 million for Alex Smith. The Kansas City Star was the first to report the news. And Kansas City General Manager John Dorsey said, quote, "It was a priority of ours to get the deal done and keep Alex in a Chiefs uniform long term. Alex is a proven leader on and off the field. He is a special individual with a lot of ability, and we are fortunate to have him here." The Chiefs acquired Smith last year in a trade with the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs gave up a second-round draft picks in 2013 and 2014. Smith has 1 year remaining on his, was current deal. So the extension keeps him in Kansas City through 2018. And last season, Smith threw for a career-best 3,313 yards, 23 touchdowns as his first season as the Chiefs starter. He's now 30 years old and had 1 year left on his contract that was set to pay him at $7.5 million. Head coach Andy Reid said the Chiefs are happy to have Smith moving forward and saying, quote, "Alex is smart, talented football player and has adapted very well in our offensive scheme. He also obviously has had a tremendous amount of success as a quarterback in this league. We as a team are very happy to keep Alex as our quarterback moving forward." The reason this is very important for the Chiefs, one, now you have a solid quarterback, and you got him for 28 through 2018, paying him not a crazy amount of money, solid money. He's going to be happy with. You're good. Now, since you don't have to put a franchise tag on Jamal Charles or Alex Smith or Dwayne Bowe, now you can give your franchise tag to a very important piece of not only your team but your defense, and that's the linebacker Justin Houston, who only has 1 year left on his contract, and they can't really get a deal done. Both sides, he's wanting more money. Chiefs don't have that much money. So they're saying, hey, we'll just franchise tag you. Now that Justin Houston and his agent are going to look at, all right, they franchise tag you, boom, this is how much you're going to get. If you can try to get to a deal that the numbers might seem lower, maybe you can make more money, or you make more money instead of just in 1 year. I don't know. They'll make something happen, but the Chiefs now have the upper hand on controlling their team instead of letting some guys go after just a few years. So that's good. And that's it for the NFL. We're going to add a new topic, and this will be our last thing as we are almost at an hour now. Actually, whoops, I almost forgot one thing. How can I forget? Kickoff, football, week 1. Let us do our predictions. I don't have any music, but if I did, we would put some music right now. All right, here we go. We're going to make this quick. It's going to be rapid fire right here. We're going to say the teams. We're not going to say what time. It's just going to go in order and what time it does. And we're going to make our picks. Follow along. Go ahead and make your picks. Leave them in the comment section. And if you're listening on iHeartRadio, since there are no comments, just write down on a piece of paper. You can tweet it to me at @short_sports 24/7. Facebook page. It's all links are in the description. Follow along. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday, September 4th. Green Bay Packers at the Seattle Seahawks on NBC, 7:30 Central Time. I know I said I wouldn't do the times, but it's the first game. Let's just go ahead and do it. Seattle Seahawks, I got them winning. Let's just say 24-17 is final score, and we won't have any fake Hail Mary interception, whatever it was called. We're not going to have it. We're going to have a solid game this time. No dumb ending or crazy ending. New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to go with, surprisingly, the Atlanta Falcons get the win. Julio Jones has a big game. Minnesota Vikings at St. Louis. I'm going with the St. Louis Rams, 17-14. Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brian Hoyer gets the start over Johnny Manziel. Steelers get the win, though, 24-14. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Philadelphia Eagles. The scores are just coming off the top of my head as we go. Philadelphia 34, Jacksonville 7. Oakland Raiders at the New York Jets. Low scoring game. I say 7-6. Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Final score, I say Bengals 24, Ravens 23. I don't know. Buffalo Bills at the Chicago Bears. I say Chicago gets the victory 35-17. Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going Kansas City. Let's see. 24-21. Carolina Panthers, I missed one game. New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Patriots get the win. I'm going to go 28-10. Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Panthers get the win 24-14. San Francisco at Dallas. San Francisco gets the win 35-14. Indianapolis Colts at the Denver Broncos. Sunday night, 7:30 Central Time. NBC. I'm going to go Broncos 34-31. Field goal. New York Giants against the Detroit Lions. Monday Night Football first game, 6:10 p.m. Central Time on ESPN, of course. This is tough. Detroit Lions, I'm going to say Lions 28-17. And then the final game of week 1, my San Diego Chargers, Superchargers, take on the Arizona Cardinals at freaking 9:20 p.m. Central Time. That's dumb. Next Monday, of course, I'm going to go with my San Diego Chargers. Chargers 27, Cardinals 21. There you go, guys. There you have it. And is that it for what we got? All right, we'll do one last thing. But yeah, so follow along with the picks. We can all do them. And at the end of the season, maybe somebody gets a prize. We might just throw out, maybe you want the Short Sports Show t-shirt. maybe a coffee cup. I don't know. Maybe some cards. I don't know. We'll think of something. But follow along, put it in the comment section, and it's got to be before the first game, before Thursday, before kickoff. If not, no picks count. So let's move on. A new thing that we're going to add in here is fantasy football. To a lot of people, it is a major thing. To some other people, they don't care. I love fantasy football. This is, I believe, my 5th year going into it. The farthest I ever got was one game before the Super Bowl, and I lost. But it's a new season, and I got a brand new team, and I want you guys to grade my team and compare it to your team. So here we go. First team, I have 2 teams. Quarterback, Tom Brady and Johnny Manziel. Of course, I had to get Johnny Football on one of my teams. Running backs, Jamal Charles and Ben Tate. Wide receiver, I got Golden Tate, Doug Baldwin, Deshaun Jackson, Keenan Allen, Dez Bryant, Brandon Cooks, Cordell Patterson, and Sammy Watkins. Tight end, I got Antonio Gates. Kicker, Robbie Gould. And defense, I got the Rams. That's my team. And when I say team 1, I'm not saying that's like my number 1 team. I'm just saying that was my first team that I drafted. Second team, I think is actually my favorite team. It's my second one. Quarterback, I got Russell Wilson. Running back, I got Adrian Peterson and Alfred Morris. But I kind of screwed myself there because they both have Week 10 buys. And my other running back is Bishop Sankey. I'm going to be screwed Week 10. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm waiting until then until I make a decision. Wide receiver, I got Larry Fitzgerald, Alshon Jeffrey, Pierre Garçon, Kelvin Benjamin, Mike Wallace, and Terrence Williams. Tight end, I got Zach Ertz. Kicker, Mason Crosby. And defense, I got both the Buffalo Bills and the Saints. Yeah. Even though defensively it's weak, I think wide receivers and running back and Russell Wilson might be able to win some games. But that is it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for listening and bear with me. College football, it was a learning lesson right there. We will sim that down a lot better than it was. It won't be an hour show. I'm sorry that it was. Maybe you guys like an hour show. I don't know. Maybe we will do an hour. I don't know. But anyways, guys, thank you so much again. The Short Sports Show on iHeartRadio and Spreaker.com. And now a huge milestone with iTunes. That's incredible. Thank you guys so much for listening and just staying with me as we continue to grow. It's been awesome. And it's not done yet. That's the best part. We're not done yet. We continue to keep getting better. And all that other good stuff. So, again, thank you guys so much. Follow me on Twitter at @short_sports 24/7. And become a fan on Facebook, The Short Sports Show. And am I missing anything else? YouTube channel. All links are in the description. So you go ahead and just click them there. iTunes, again, just go on your iTunes account, whether it's on your computer, on your iPod, on your iPhone, iPad, whatever other things are out there. Go ahead and just download it. Type in The Short Sports Show. You can't miss it. We have my logo there. Got summary. It looks so pretty. It's amazing. I wish I could screen capture and just send it to you guys. It's so awesome. Also, one quick thing. If anybody knows graphic designers or things like that, I am looking for a brand new logo. The logo I made, I'm not a very creative person when it comes to drawing or anything. I didn't even take art in high school. I skipped it. I didn't want to do it. So if you know anybody or if you are one, please let me know and maybe we can talk. I can send you my email. Just hit me up on Twitter or Facebook or something. And I'll be more than happy to see what you guys can do for me because I kind of want a new logo. I don't know. I kind of, if you go on my Facebook page, did a little, not really a logo, just my name, how I did it with the new font and stuff. That's as much as creative you're going to get from me. I just can't, I don't know. I just can't do it. But if you guys have something, let me know. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. As always, God first, God bless. I'm out. I will see you guys Saturday morning, college football week 2 predictions. We will do it there. Thank you again so much. I will see you guys then. And I was trying to hit the 1 hour mark, but we're at 59. I guess we can just wait. We can just ramble about something. Might as well. We're 1 minute away. 43 seconds away from hitting an hour. Might as well just go ahead and just hit the hour mark, right? So, college just started. I'm taking online classes at Southern New Hampshire. It's all right, but I'm not digging the online stuff anymore. I was at first, but really want to go on campus, so I'm going to transfer. I have no idea where, but I will transfer. Getting my sports management degree. Not communications, just because, I'm already doing this show. So, yeah. Okay. All right, guys. We're almost there, so I'll just hit the final thing. Again, follow me on Twitter at @short_sports 24/7. Thank you guys so much for watching. Listening. I'll see you guys next Monday and next Saturday. I'm out. Peace.